Hey, how's it going? I'm home.
Hey, yeah, I'm in here.
Oh, okay.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Nice. Where are you coming from?
I've just been out and about doing some shopping. I was here in the Mission, and then I went to Haight Street, just going to some secondhand stores.
Oh,
One
okay.
of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, cool.
So, who are you just getting off the phone with?
Oh, I was speaking to my grandmother.
How's she doing?
Yeah, she's doing okay. She was actually feeling under the weather last week, but now she's all right.
Oh, did she just have a cold or something?
Yeah, she said that there was something going around. My aunt had it and my niece had it, so she might have caught it from one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, speaking with my grandmother on the phone, sometimes I feel like I'm a little kid again. I get
Yeah,
like
why is that?
transported back to the time when we used to live close together and you know, and I was a kid. I mean, my grandparents, when I was growing up, they lived just like a stone's throw away from us. Maybe like, I don't know, 2 miles or something. So we used to see
Wow.
them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, you know, when you're a kid, one of your favorite things is to see your grandparents.
Yeah.
It's like you get to escape the discipline of your parents for a little bit.
Right.
And, your grandparents, they'll always shower you with attention. And, you know, my grandmother would always, make us some sweets and she was just always like, always really happy to see us, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I never had the luxury of even being around one set of grandparents. My dad's parents died before I was born, so I never even met them. And then my mom's parents, we lived close to them, but not as close as you to your grandparents. I'd say it was like a 20 to 30 minute drive, and that was only until I was 8, because then we moved away from Michigan to Georgia, so then it would be seeing them once a year.
Yeah, I mean, my brothers and I were really fortunate to have both sets of grandparents around.
Yeah, you
Uh,
were.
and I mean, my father's parents moved down to Florida when we were like 8 years old, and that was a bummer for us at the time. But at least my mom's parents lived around us, until we were teenagers, and we moved to
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
But it's uncommon these days. I mean, the generations before us always had their family right near them. I,
Right.
I mean, I hear these stories from my grandmother. She says that her entire family lived in like one, on one block, and that wasn't uncommon. I mean, a lot of the times the whole family would live in the same house. Usually people didn't leave until they got married, and even if they did leave and get married, they lived just down the block.
Well, speaking of the same block, that made me think of my brother, my younger brother, when he was in high school, dated this girl, and her whole family lived on the same street. And I could remember thinking how strange that was.
Yeah, I mean now it is, but
Yeah.
back then it wasn't at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, when I was talking to my grandmother, as we do a lot of the times, I was reminiscing with her about when I was younger, and um, we not only did we live very close to my grandparents, we all went to the same church. So,
Wow.
every Sunday afternoon, we'd see them at church and we'd sit near them. And then after church was over, I'd always like beg my parents to let us go over to my grandparents' house. And, we'd go over there and eat dinner. And I'd watch baseball games with my grandfather. So that was always a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
It was just spending time with them.
Yeah.
We just had a
Was it
great time.
was it like a big Sunday dinner?
Oh yeah, and my grandmother would cook a huge meal, and my grandmother was an amazing cook. She'd always cook like some amazing Italian dinner, and
Mm.
we just loved going over there for that reason as well.
Oh, that's great.
Hi, this is Kristen Dodds.
And this is Joe Weiss, and we just wanted to let you know that this material is copyrighted in the year 2008 by Learn Real English LLC. www.learnrealenglish.com.
Hello, and welcome to the vocabulary lesson for the conversation grandmother. Now, in this conversation, Joe has just gotten off the telephone with his grandmother, so he's just telling me about their conversation, what they spoke about. Okay, let's begin. I first start off saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Now, how's, this is short for how is. As I've said in many, many lessons, you won't see this really in written English. It's more something that you would hear in conversational English. And going is short for going. Again, you wouldn't see this in written English, but you would hear it in conversational English. Anytime something is shortened, you won't really see that in written formal English, but you'll definitely hear people when they're speaking making something short or shorter. So I say, "Hey, how's it going?" What I'm saying here is, "Hi, how are you doing?" And then I go on to say, "I'm home." So I've just come in the apartment. I've just gotten home. And Joe says, "Hey, yeah, I'm in here." Yeah, this is slang or casual or informal for yes. And when he says "I'm in here," he's just telling me what room of the apartment he's in. I think he was in the living room, actually. And then I say, "Oh, okay." Now, "oh" here, that's just a filler. It's not really needed. And then Joe says, "How are you doing?" Doing. Doing is short for doing. And I say, "Pretty good." Now, pretty here means very good. And then Joe says, "Nice. Where you coming from?" Comin'. This is short for coming. What Joe is saying here is, where are you coming from? And then I say, "I've just been out and about doing some shopping." Out and about. This means going from place to place. Out and about. For example, I was out and about shopping downtown. Out and about. And then I go on to say, I was, is just filler here. It's not really needed. And I go on to say, here in the Mission. And then I went to Haight Street. Now the Mission, this is short for the Mission District. The Mission District is just a neighborhood in San Francisco. The Mission. For example, Joe and I live in the Mission. We live in the Mission District, the Mission. And when I say that I went to Haight Street is a street in San Francisco. For example, I like to go to the bars on Haight Street. I really like the atmosphere of the bars on Haight Street. And then I go on to say, just go into some secondhand stores. Just, in this situation, just is just filler. It's not really needed. Secondhand stores. Secondhand stores are stores where used clothing is sold. Secondhand stores. I like to shop at secondhand stores because the clothes are so cheap. Secondhand stores. And then Joe says, oh, okay. And I say, one of my favorite things to do. So I'm saying I really like shopping at secondhand stores. It's one of my favorite things to do. And Joe says, yeah, cool. Cool meaning good. And then I say, so who are you just getting off the phone with. Getting is short for getting. And Joe says, oh, I was speaking to my grandmother. Speaking or talking to my grandmother. Speaking is short for speaking. And then I say, how's she doing? And Joe says, yeah, she's doing okay. She was actually feeling under the weather last week. But, now she's all right. Actually, it's just filler here. It's not really needed. She was actually feeling under the weather. Feeling under the weather. Now, feeling is short for feeling. Feeling under the weather. That just means being sick. For example, Ben was feeling under the weather. I could hear him coughing. Feeling under the weather. And then when Joe says, now she's all right just means okay or good. All right. And then I go on to say, oh, did she just have a cold or something? Have a cold. This means to be sick. Have a cold. For example, I do not like to leave the house when I have a cold. Have a cold. And when I say something, this is short for something. And then Joe says, yeah, she said that there was something going around. Something going around. This is when people you know are sick. Something going around. An example of this would be, my mother told me that she and my father are both sick. She said that there must be something going around. And then Joe goes on to say, my aunt had it and my niece had it, so she might have caught it from one of them. Might have just means maybe. Now, caught it. Caught it means got sick. Caught it. For example, David is sick. I think that he caught it from his wife because she was sick last week. Caught it. And then I say, oh, okay. And Joe says, yeah. You know is short for you know. Joe goes on to say, speaking with my grandmother on the phone, sometimes I feel like I'm a little kid again. Or sometimes I feel like I'm a child again. And I say, yeah, why is that? And Joe says, I get like here is just filler. It's not really needed. So Joe says, I get like transported back. Transported here means taken. I get transported back. I get taken back. For example, when I was looking at old family pictures, it felt like I was transported back to when I was a child. Transported. And Joe goes on to say, transported back to the time when we used to live close together. And, and I was a kid. I mean, or he's saying, what I'm trying to say is that my grandparents, when I was growing up, growing is short for growing, and growing up just means getting older. Joe goes on to say, they lived just like a stone's throw away from us. Now, stone's throw away, this means very close. A stone's throw away. For example, Joe and I go to the park a lot because it's just a stone's throw away from our apartment. Stone's throw away. And Joe goes on to say, maybe like, 2 miles or something. So we used to, and then I say, wow. And I'm just showing emotions such as, I can't believe it. I can't believe you lived so close to your grandparents. And Joe says, see them all the time. So he's saying, we used to see them all the time, or we used to visit them all the time. And I say, yeah. And Joe says, yeah, it was awesome. Awesome means very good or great. Awesome. For example, Robbie is an awesome guitar player. Awesome. And Joe says, I mean, you know, when you're a kid, one of your favorite things is to see your grandparents. And I say, yeah, agreeing with Joe. And Joe says, you know, it's like you get to escape the discipline of your parents for a little bit. Escape. This means to get away from. Escape. For example, the prisoner escaped from jail. Escape. And discipline. This means punishment. Discipline. For example, when I was a child, my parents always disciplined me whenever I did something wrong. Discipline. Or in this example, disciplined. And when Joe says a little bit means a small amount. Here, specifically, it means a small amount of time. A little bit. Let's say I want to go to a music festival, but I have a lot of work to do. I might tell my friends, I can meet you at the festival, but I can only stay for a little bit. A little bit. And then I say, right. I'm just agreeing with Joe, saying, yeah, you're correct. That's right. And then Joe says, and here just is filler. It's not really needed. Joe goes on to say, you know, your grandparents, they'll always shower you with attention. Shower you with attention. This means give you a lot of attention. Shower you with attention. For example, my grandparents always showered me with attention. So shower you with attention, or in this example, showered me with attention. And Joe goes on to say, and you know, my grandmother would always, you know, make us some sweets. Now sweets, this means food that has a lot of sugar, like cookies, cake, candy, ice cream. Sweets. For example, I really like to eat sweets. Even though I know it's not very healthy, or I know it's not very good for me. Sweets. And Joe goes on to say, and you know, she was just always like, always really, happy to see us, you know? So he's saying she was always very happy to see us. And then I say, uh-huh. And I'm just agreeing with Joe, saying, yeah, uh-huh. And then I say, yeah, I never had the luxury of even here is just filler. It's not really needed. And luxury, this is a good opportunity. So I'm saying I never had the good opportunity or the opportunity of being around one set of grandparents. One set of grandparents. What I'm talking about here, I'm speaking about my father's parents. So my father's parents would be one set of grandparents, and then my mother's parents would be the other set of grandparents. And I go on to say, my dad's parents died before I was born, so I never even met them. And then my mom's parents, we lived close to them, but not as close as you to your grandparents. I'd say it was like a 20 to 30 minute drive, and that was only until I was 8. Or I'm saying that was only until I was 8 years old. And I go on to say, cuz is short for because then we moved away from Michigan to Georgia. Michigan is a northern state in America, and Georgia is a southeastern state of America. And I go on to say, so then it would be seeing them once a year. Seeing is short for seeing. And what I'm saying here is I would only visit them. I would only visit my grandparents one time a year after we moved from Michigan to Georgia. And Joe says, yeah, I mean, my brothers and I were very fortunate to have both sets of grandparents around, or he's saying to have both sets of grandparents living close by. Fortunate. Fortunate means lucky. Fortunate. For example, I was fortunate to remember to take an umbrella with me because it rained today. Fortunate. And then I say, yeah, you were. And Joe says, I mean, my father's parents moved down to Florida when we were like 8 years old. Now, Florida, this is a southeastern state of America. And Joe goes on to say, and you know, that was a bummer for us at the time. Bummer. Bummer means something that is not good. It's kind of a slang word. Bummer. For example, it's a bummer that San Francisco has so much fog. Fog being low clouds. Bummer. And Joe goes on to say, but at least, or he's saying, but it's good that my mom's parents lived around us, you know, until we were teenagers. Around us means close to us, around us. For example, when I was a child, my grandparents did not live around us. Around us. And when he says until we were teenagers, until means up to the time when we became teenagers. In teenagers, this word means anywhere from 13 years old to 19 years old. So Joe actually moved away from his grandparents when he was about 13. And then I say, just agreeing with Joe. And Joe says, and we moved to Pennsylvania. So he's saying, you know, my mom's parents lived around us until we were teenagers, and we moved to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a state in the northeast of America. And then I say, again, just agreeing with Joe. And Joe says, but it's uncommon these days. Or he's saying it's not normal or it's unusual now. And then he goes on to say, I mean, the generations before us always had their family right near them. Or they always had their family living close by or close to them. Generations before us. This means people in your family that are older than you. Generations before us. And then I say right. So I'm basically just saying yes. I'm agreeing with Joe again. And then Joe says, I mean, I hear these stories from my grandmother. She says that her entire family, or he's saying her whole family, lived in like one, on one block. Now, block, this is a street or part of a street. Block. For example, my friend Kim lives 8 blocks away from my apartment. Block, or in this example, blocks. And Joe goes on to say, and that wasn't uncommon, or that he's saying that wasn't unusual. And then he says, I mean, a lot of the times they would, the whole family would live in the same house. Usually, or most of the time, people didn't leave, or he's saying people didn't move out of the house until they got married. And even if they did leave and get married, they lived just down the block. Or he's saying they moved just down the block. And then I say, well, speaking of the same block, that made me think of my brother. My younger brother, when he was in high school. Now, high school is a secondary school or school that prepares you for university. So I'm saying when my brother was in high school, he dated this girl and her whole family lived on the same street. And I can remember thinking is short for thinking. And I go on to say how strange, or I'm saying how different that was. And then Joe says, yeah, I mean, now it is. And I say, yeah, just agreeing with him. And Joe says, but back then it wasn't at all. So he's saying back when our grandparents were younger, it wasn't strange or it wasn't different. And then I say, yeah, right. Again, I'm just agreeing with him. And then Joe says, yeah. Oh, when I was talking is short for talking. When I was talking to my grandmother, as we do a lot of the times, I was reminiscing with her about when I was younger. Now, reminiscing, this means remembering something that happened in the past. Reminiscing. I can remember the last time I saw my mother, we were reminiscing about when I was a child. Reminiscing. And Joe goes on to say, was reminiscing with her about when I was younger. And you know, and is just a filler word here. It's not really needed. He says, you know, we not only did we live very close to my grandparents, we all went to the same church. Now, church, this is a place to go to pray. Mainly a place for Christians to go to pray. Church. An example of church would be when I was a child, my family and I did not go to church. Church. And then Joe goes on to say, so, you know, every Sunday afternoon, we'd see them at church, and we'd sit near them, or we'd sit close to them. And then after church was over, or when church was finished, I'd always beg my parents to let us go over to my grandparents' house. Now, beg, this means to ask for something you really want. Beg. For example, when I was 15 years old, I had to beg my parents to let me come home after 11 o'clock at night. Beg. When Joe says, go over to my grandparents' house, over in this situation is really just filler. It's not even really needed. And then Joe goes on to say, and you know, we'd go over there and eat dinner, and I'd watch baseball games with my grandfather. So that was always a lot of fun, you know? And then I say, just agreeing with him. Or saying, yeah, I understand. And then Joe says, it was just, you know, just spending time with them, you know? And I say, yeah. Was it? And then Joe says, we just had a great time. And then I say, was it like a big Sunday dinner? And Joe says, oh, yeah. And my grandmother would cook a huge meal. Or he's saying, my grandmother would make a lot of food. And he goes on to say, and my grandmother was an amazing cook. Now, cook here means someone who prepares food for eating. And then Joe goes on to say, she would always cook like some amazing Italian dinner. Joe's grandmother would make Italian food because his grandmother is actually Italian American. Now, amazing, when Joe says she's an amazing cook, amazing means great. Amazing. For example, I had an amazing time at the concert. Amazing. And then I say, And I'm just making this noise because the thought of eating a dinner that Joe's grandmother has made is making me hungry because I know she's a good cook. And then Joe says, and you know, we just loved, or he's saying we really liked going over there for that reason as well. So when he's saying for that reason, he's saying we really liked going over to my grandmother's for eating dinner and also for other things like just spending time with my grandmother and grandfather and watching baseball with my grandfather. When Joe says as well at the end of the sentence, as well, it's just filler. It's not really needed. You could take it away and the sentence would still make sense. And then I finished the conversation by saying, oh, that's great. Okay, this is the end of the vocabulary lesson for the conversation grandmother. So if you need to, go back and listen to this as many times until you have a basic understanding of the vocabulary. And then when you feel ready, move on to Joe's mini story. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Kristen Dodds.
And this is Joe Weiss. And we just wanted to let you know that this material has been copyrighted in the year 2008 by Learn Real English, LLC. www.learnrealenglish.com. Hello, and welcome to the mini story lesson for the conversation grandmother. Let's get started with the story now. Carlos never ate anything but sweets. He lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery. There was also an ice cream store 1 block from his house. His mother used to beg him to eat vegetables, but he would only eat sweets. One day, Carlos was out and about with his girlfriend Marta. First, they went to a secondhand store. Then they went to a restaurant. Marta ate a salad. Carlos ate 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream. Later that day, he started feeling under the weather. He thought that there was something going around, so he went to the doctor. "Getting sick is a bummer," he said. "You are sick because you only eat sweets," said the doctor. Then the doctor told him that he must eat vegetables. So he started to eat vegetables every day. His body got stronger and he never got sick again. Okay, so that's our story. Now, as always, I will read the story again, and this time I will ask you questions as I'm reading the story. Please answer the questions out loud. If you need a little more time, then you can pause your MP3 player, your iPod, or your computer. And then you can play again when you're ready to answer the question or after you've answered the question. And, of course, if you do not feel like answering the question out loud, then you can just listen if you wish. Okay, let's get started. Carlos never ate anything but sweets. Did Carlos ever eat anything other than sweets? No, he didn't. He never ate anything but sweets, so he never ate anything other than sweets. Did Carlos ever eat bananas? No, Carlos did not ever eat bananas. Bananas are not sweets. Did Carlos only eat sweets? Yes, that's true. He never ate anything but sweets, which means he only ate sweets. Did Carlos eat cake? Yes, he probably did. When you say sweets, you mean food that has a lot of sugar in it, like cake and candy and ice cream, things like that. So when you ask, did Carlos eat cake? We can say, yes, he probably did eat cake. Did Carlos eat candy? Yes, he probably ate candy. When you say sweets, that includes candy. Who only ate sweets? Did Carlos or Kenny only eat sweets? Carlos. Carlos only ate sweets. Carlos never ate anything but sweets. What did Carlos eat? Did he eat rice? No, he didn't eat rice. Rice is not something you would call a sweet. Did he eat bread? No, again, bread is not something that you would consider something that is sweet. Did he eat sweets? Yes, he did. He ate sweets. He never ate anything but sweets. Did Carlos eat cake and candy? Yes, he did. Sweets includes cake and candy. So you could say that Carlos ate cake and candy. He lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery. Did he live just a stone's throw away from a bakery? Yes, he did. He lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery. Did he live very close to a bakery? Yes. Yes, he did. He lived just a stone's throw away. When you say something is a stone's throw away, that means that it's very close. A stone's throw away means very close to. Did he live close to a place to buy cake and cookies? Yes, he did. He lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery, and you can buy cake and cookies at a bakery. So he lived very close to a place to buy cake and cookies. Who lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery? Did Carlos or Charlie live just a stone's throw away from a bakery? Carlos. Carlos lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery. Did Charlie live just a stone's throw away from a bakery? No, it wasn't Charlie. Did Carlos live very close to a bakery? Yes, Carlos lived very close to a bakery. He lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery. What did he live a stone's throw away from? A bakery or a movie theater? A bakery. He lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery. Did he live close to a bakery? Yes, he did. He lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery, which is the same as saying he lived close to a bakery. A stone's throw away means close to, or very close to. There was also an ice cream store 1 block from his house. Was there an ice cream store 1 block from his house? Yes, there was. There was also an ice cream store 1 block from his house. What was 1 block from his house? Was there a cafe or an ice cream store 1 block from his house? An ice cream store. There was an ice cream store 1 block from his house. Was there an ice cream store 1 street from his house? Yes, there was. There was an ice cream store 1 block from his house, which is the same thing as saying there was an ice cream store 1 street from his house. A block refers to a street or even part of a street. Where was the ice cream store? Was it 1 mile or 1 block from his house? 1 block. It was 1 block from his house. Was the ice cream store 1 street from his house? Yes, it was. It was 1 block from his house, which is the same thing as saying it was 1 street from his house. Was the ice cream store 1 block from the library? No, it wasn't 1 block from the library. Was the ice cream store 1 block from his house? Yes, it was. It was 1 block from his house. Was the ice cream store 1 street from his house? Yes. Yes, it was. It was 1 block from his house, which is the same thing as saying it was 1 street from his house. A block is the same thing as a street or a part of a street. His mother used to beg him to eat vegetables. Did his mother beg him to eat vegetables? Yes, she did. She begged him to eat vegetables. What did his mother used to do? Did she used to clean the kitchen or beg him to eat vegetables? Beg him to eat vegetables. She used to beg him to eat vegetables. Did she used to beg him to eat vegetables? Yes, she did. She used to beg him to eat vegetables. Did she used to ask him to eat vegetables? Yes, that's true. If you beg someone, that means you are asking them. Did she really want him to eat vegetables? Yes, she did. If you beg someone to do something, that means you really want them to do something. So his mother used to beg him to eat vegetables, which means she used to ask him to eat vegetables because she really wanted him to eat vegetables. To beg someone means to ask them to do something that you really want them to do. Who used to beg him? Did his sister or his mother used to beg him? His mother. His mother used to beg him. Who did his mother used to beg? Did she used to beg Carlos or Charlie? Carlos. She used to beg Carlos. What did she beg him to do? Did she beg him to take a shower or eat vegetables? Eat vegetables. She begged him to eat vegetables. What did his mother beg him to eat? Did she beg him to eat rice? No, she didn't beg him to eat rice. Did his mother beg him to eat vegetables? Yes, she did. His mother used to beg him to eat vegetables, which means she begged him to eat vegetables. Did his mother ask him to eat vegetables? Yes, she did. If she begged him, that means that she asked him to eat vegetables. Did his mother really want him to eat vegetables? Yes, she did. She begged him, which means that she asked him to do something that she really wanted him to do. She wanted him to eat vegetables, so she begged him to do it. But he would only eat sweets. Would he only eat sweets? Yes, he would only eat sweets. Would he eat things that were not sweets? No, he wouldn't. He would only eat sweets. Would he eat carrots? No, he would not eat carrots. You would not call carrots a sweet. Would he eat chicken? No, he wouldn't. Chicken is not a sweet. Would he eat cake? Yes, he would. Cake is a sweet, so he would eat cake. Who would only eat sweets? Would Carlos only eat sweets? Yes, that's correct. Carlos. Carlos would only eat sweets. Would Carlos eat candy? Yes, he would. Candy is a sweet, and he would only eat sweets. So he would eat candy. He would also eat cake, but he would not eat chicken. He would not eat carrots. He would eat ice cream also, because that's a sweet also. One day, Carlos was out and about with his girlfriend, Marta. Was Carlos out and about with his girlfriend, Marta? Yes, he was. He was out and about with his girlfriend, Marta. What was Carlos doing? Was he out and about with his girlfriend or watching television at home? He was out and about with his girlfriend. He was not at home watching television. Was he going from place to place with his girlfriend? Yes, he was. He was out and about with his girlfriend, which is the same thing as saying he was going place to place with his girlfriend. When you are out and about, that means you are going place to place. Who was out and about with his girlfriend? Was Carlos or Charlie out and about with his girlfriend? Carlos. Carlos was out and about with his girlfriend. Was Carlos going place to place with his girlfriend? Yes, he was. He was out and about with his girlfriend, which means he was going place to place with his girlfriend. Who was Carlos out and about with? His girlfriend or his sister? His girlfriend. He was out and about with his girlfriend. What is Carlos's girlfriend's name? Is it Sarah or Marta? Marta. His girlfriend's name is Marta. Was Carlos out and about with Marta? Yes, that's true. Carlos was out and about with Marta. Was Carlos going place to place with Marta? Yes, he was. He was out and about with Marta, which means he was going place to place with Marta. Out and about means going place to place. First, they went to a second-hand store. Did they go to a second-hand store? Yes, they did. They went to a second-hand store. What did they do? Did they drive to the beach or go to a second-hand store? They went to a second-hand store. They didn't drive to the beach. Who went to a secondhand store? Did Carlos's mom go to a secondhand store? No, Carlos's mom didn't go. Did Carlos and Marta go to a secondhand store? Yes, they did. Carlos and Marta went to a secondhand store. Did Carlos and Marta go to a store that sells used clothing? Yes, they did. They went to a secondhand store. And a secondhand store is a store that sells used clothing. Secondhand stores also sometimes sell other used items. Where did they go? Did they go to the library or a secondhand store? A secondhand store. They went to a secondhand store. Did they go to a store that sells used clothing? Yes, they did. They went to a secondhand store. And a secondhand store sells used clothing. It also sells other used items. Then they went to a restaurant. Did they go to a restaurant? Yes. Yes, they did. They went to a restaurant. What did they do? They went to a restaurant. Who went to a restaurant? Who went to a restaurant? Carlos and Marta. Carlos and Marta went to a restaurant. Did Carlos and Marta go to the beach? No, they didn't go to the beach. Where did they go? Did they go to a restaurant or a church? A restaurant. They went to a restaurant. Marta ate a salad. Did Marta eat a salad? Yes, she did. Marta ate a salad. What did Marta do? She ate a salad. Marta ate a salad. Did she take a shower or eat a salad? Eat a salad. She ate a salad. Who ate a salad? Did Will Smith eat a salad? No, Will Smith did not eat a salad. Did Marta eat a salad? Yes, she did. Marta ate a salad. What did Marta eat? Did she eat a piece of bread? No, she didn't eat a piece of bread. Did she eat a salad? Yes, she did. Marta ate a salad. Carlos ate 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream. Did Carlos eat 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream? Yes, he did. Carlos ate 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream. What did Carlos do? Well, he ate. He ate 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream. Who ate? Did Carlos or his mother eat? Carlos did. Carlos ate. What did Carlos eat? Did he eat 2 bowls of soup? No, he didn't eat 2 bowls of soup. Did he eat 7 pieces of cake? Yes, he did. He ate 7 pieces of cake. Did he eat 2 bowls of ice cream? Yes, he also ate 2 bowls of ice cream. How many pieces of cake did he eat? Did he eat 7 or 11? 7. He ate 7 pieces of cake. How many bowls of ice cream did he eat? Did he eat 2 or 4? 2. He ate 2 bowls of ice cream. Did Carlos only eat sweets? Yes, he did. He ate 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream, and both cake and ice cream are sweets. Did Carlos eat a lot of sweets? Yes, he definitely ate a lot of sweets. 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream? I would say that is a lot of sweets. Later that day, he started feeling under the weather. Did he start feeling under the weather later that day? Yes, he did. Later that day, he started feeling under the weather. How did he feel later that day? Did he feel under the weather? Yes. Yes, he did. He started feeling under the weather. Did he feel sick? Yes, he did. He felt under the weather, which is the same thing as saying he felt sick. Feeling under the weather means to be sick. Who felt under the weather? Did Carlos or Marta feel under the weather? Carlos. Carlos felt under the weather. Did Carlos feel sick? Yes, he did. When you're feeling under the weather, that means that you are feeling sick. When did he feel under the weather? Did he feel under the weather later that day or later that week? Later that day. Later that day, he started feeling under the weather. Did he feel sick later that day? Yes. Yes, he did. He was feeling under the weather, which is the same thing as saying he was feeling sick. He thought that there was something going around. Did he think that something was going around? Yes, he did. He thought that there was something going around. What did he think? Did he think that something was going around or that his brother was going to school? He thought that something was going around. Did he think that people he knew were sick? Yes, that's correct. He thought that there was something going around, which is the same thing as saying he thought that people he knew were sick. If you say something is going around, that means that the people you know are sick, or you know people who are sick. Who thought that there was something going around? Did Carlos or Clint think there was something going around? Carlos. Carlos thought that there was something going around. Did Carlos think that there was something going around? Yes, he did. Carlos thought that there was something going around. Did Carlos think that people he knew were sick? Yes, Carlos thought that he knew people who were sick, which is the same thing as saying something was going around. Something going around means that you know people who are sick. So he went to the doctor. Did he go to the doctor? Yes, he did. He went to the doctor. He went to the doctor. What did he do? Did he eat more cake or go to the doctor? Go to the doctor. He went to the doctor. Where did he go? Did he go to a football game? No, he didn't go to a football game. Did he go to Paris? No, he didn't go to Paris. Did he go to the doctor? Yes, that's correct. He went to the doctor. Getting sick is a bummer, he said. Did he say that getting sick is a bummer? Yes, he did. He said that getting sick is a bummer. Did he say that getting sick is something that is not good? Yes, that's correct. He said that getting sick is a bummer, which is the same thing as saying getting sick is something that is not good. A bummer is something that is not good. Did he say that getting sick is bad? Yes, he did. He said that it is a bummer, which is the same thing as saying that getting sick is bad. Who said getting sick is a bummer? Did Carlos or the doctor say that getting sick is a bummer? Carlos did. Carlos said getting sick is a bummer. What is a bummer? Is eating cake or getting sick a bummer? Getting sick. Getting sick is a bummer. Does Carlos like getting sick? No, he doesn't. He said getting sick is a bummer, which means he does not like getting sick. You are sick because you only eat sweets, said the doctor. Did the doctor say you are sick because you only eat sweets? Yes, he did. The doctor said you are sick because you only eat sweets. Who was the doctor talking to? Was he talking to Carlos or Charlie? Carlos. He was talking to Carlos. Is Carlos sick because he only eats sweets? Yes, he is. The doctor told him that he was sick because he only eats sweets. Who is sick? Is Carlos's mother sick? No, it's not Carlos's mother. Is Carlos sick? Yes, Carlos is sick. Why is Carlos sick? Is he sick because something is going around? No, that's what he thought, but that's not why he's sick. Is he sick because people he knows are sick? No, that's not why. That's the same thing as asking if he is sick because something is going around. And he's not sick because something is going around. So then he's not sick because he knows people who are sick. Is he sick because he only eats sweets? Yes, that's correct. The doctor told him that he is sick because he only eats sweets. Then the doctor told him that he must eat vegetables. Did the doctor tell him that he must eat vegetables? Yes, he did. The doctor told him that he must eat vegetables. What did the doctor tell him? Did he tell him to exercise? No, he didn't tell him to exercise. Did he tell him that he must eat vegetables? Yes, that's what he told him. He told him that he must eat vegetables. Who told him that he must eat vegetables? The doctor. The doctor told him that he must eat vegetables. Did the doctor or Marta tell him that he must eat vegetables? The doctor. The doctor told him that he must eat vegetables. Who did the doctor tell? Did the doctor tell Carlos or Charlie? Carlos. The doctor told Carlos. What must he eat? Must he eat sweets or vegetables? Vegetables. He must eat vegetables. Why did the doctor tell Carlos that he must eat vegetables? Well, Carlos was sick because he only eats sweets. So the doctor wants him to eat vegetables. So he started to eat vegetables every day. Did he start to eat vegetables every day? Yes, he did. He started to eat vegetables every day. What did he start to do? To eat vegetables every day. Who started to eat vegetables every day? Did Carlos or the doctor start to eat vegetables every day? Carlos. Carlos did. Carlos started to eat vegetables every day. What did he start to eat? Did he start to eat sweets or vegetables every day? Vegetables. He started to eat vegetables every day. Did he start to eat bread every day? No, not bread. How often did he eat vegetables? Did he eat them only on Saturdays? No, he ate them more often than that. Did he eat them every day? Yes, he did. He ate them every day. Why did he start to eat vegetables? Well, he started to eat vegetables because the doctor told him that he must eat vegetables. His body got stronger and he never got sick again. Did his body get stronger? Yes, it did. His body got stronger. Did his body get weaker? No, it didn't get weaker. Did he ever get sick again? No, he didn't. He never got sick again. Whose body got stronger? Did the doctor's or Carlos's body get stronger? Carlos's. Carlos's body got stronger. How many more times did he get sick? Well, he never got sick again. So you could say that he did not ever get sick again. So 0 times. Who never got sick again? Did Carlos never get sick again? Yes, that's correct. Carlos never got sick again. Why did he never get sick again? Was it because he started to eat vegetables and his body got stronger? Yes, that's why. His body got stronger and he never got sick again. And his body got stronger because he started to eat vegetables every day. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our story, which means we are now at the end of the mini story lesson for the conversation grandmother. Now, please tell the story all by yourself. You do not need to memorize every word, but you should use the idioms and vocabulary words that we discussed. These are the ones we discussed: sweets, beg, a stone's throw away, block, out and about, second-hand stores, feeling under the weather, something going around, and bummer. So now please tell the story on your own using these idioms and vocabulary words. And remember, if you need to listen to this lesson more times, please do so. Listen to it as many times as you need to. Okay, thanks a lot, and we'll see you later.
Hi, this is Kristen Dodds.
And this is Joe Weiss. And we just wanted to let you know that this material has been copyrighted in the year 2008 by Learn Real English, LLC. www.learnrealenglish.com. Hi, you're listening to the Point of View Stories for Grandmother. I'll be telling 3 different versions of the story from the mini-story lesson, Grandmother. Each story will either be told from a different point in time or told by a different person. Alright, let's get started by telling the story as if it is happening right now or in the present. Carlos never eats anything but sweets. He lives just a stone's throw away from a bakery. There's also an ice cream store 1 block from his house. His mother begs him to eat vegetables, but he only eats sweets. One day, Carlos is out and about with his girlfriend Marta. First, they go to a second-hand store. Then, they go to a restaurant. Marta eats a salad. Carlos eats 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream. Later that night, he starts feeling under the weather. He thinks that there is something going around, so he goes to the doctor. "Getting sick is a bummer," he says. "You are sick because you only eat sweets," the doctor says. Then the doctor tells him that he must eat vegetables. So he starts to eat vegetables every day. His body gets stronger and he never gets sick again. Okay, so that is the story told as if it is happening right now. Now let's hear the story as if it will happen in the future. So we will think of the story happening, say, 1 year from now. Okay. 1 year from now, Carlos will never eat anything but sweets. He's gonna live just a stone's throw away from a bakery. There'll also be an ice cream store 1 block from his house. His mother is gonna beg him to eat vegetables, but he'll only eat sweets. One day, Carlos will be out and about with his girlfriend Marta. First, they'll go to a secondhand store. Then, they'll go to a restaurant. Marta is going to eat a salad. Carlos is going to eat 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream. Later that day, he's going to start to feel under the weather. He's going to think that there is something going around, so he'll go to the doctor. "Getting sick is a bummer," he'll say. "You are sick because you only eat sweets," the doctor will say. Then the doctor's going to tell him that he must eat vegetables. So he's going to start to eat vegetables every day. His body will get stronger and he will never get sick again. Okay, so that's the end of the story where we talk about the events that are going to happen in the future. Now let's hear the story from Carlos's point of view. So in this version, Carlos is actually the one telling the story. Here goes. I never ate anything but sweets. I lived just a stone's throw away from a bakery. There was also an ice cream store 1 block from my house. My mother used to beg me to eat vegetables, but I would only eat sweets. One day, I was out and about with my girlfriend Marta. First, we went to a secondhand store. Then we went to a restaurant. Marta ate a salad. I ate 7 pieces of cake and 2 bowls of ice cream. Later that day, I started feeling under the weather. I thought that there was something going around, so I went to the doctor. "Getting sick is a bummer," I said. "You are sick because you only eat sweets," said the doctor. Then the doctor told me that I must eat vegetables. So I started to eat vegetables every day. My body got stronger, and I never got sick again. Okay, that brings us to the end of the point of view stories for grandmother. So now please go back and listen to each of these stories many times. Listen to them until you really feel like you know them. After that, then try to tell each story on your own. Take your time, relax. Remember, you want to learn things deeply. When you learn things deeply, then you are able to speak English effortlessly. Okay, that's all for now. See you next time.
Hi, this is Kristen Dodds.
And this is Joe Weiss. And we just wanted to let you know that this material has been copyrighted in the year 2009 by Learn Real English, LLC. www.learnrealenglish.com